Okay, so this is the final video in the Critical Essay series for National 5 Higher and Communication classes. Previous videos have looked at introducing critical essays, looking at essay questions and taking you through the different sections of the essay and how you produce each part, so how you do the introductions, main paragraphs and the conclusions. What I'm just going to do just now in this video is give you a few tips for actually preparing yourself as you go through the year. So wee sort of tips and tricks and bits of advice for studying and for making sure that by the time we get to the end of the year to the exam that you are ready to go in and write an unseen critical essay. So the most obvious one is you really do need to know the texts if you want to do well. It's not enough just to skim read something, it's not enough just to read something once, it's not enough just to depend on having read it a couple of times a couple of months ago and then going through the notes. You really need to actually read the material and engage with it. Part of the reason being that obviously in the exam, for those of you doing National 5 and higher, you don't have the texts in with you. And if all you've tried to do is just memorise some quotes off by heart, you'll find that that's all you've got when you go in there. If you've actually read the texts properly and reread them as well, then what you'll find, certainly by the exam and also over the course of the year, is that it actually becomes quite easy to read an essay question and formulate an answer quite easily as long as you know your stuff. And then you can just go on with doing the writing. The people who struggle with critical essays are the people who don't put the work in with the literature. Another thing, and I have said this more than once, but you absolutely have to make your own notes. It's completely vital. Do not rely on notes that you find on the internet, for one obvious reason, which is that a lot of them are wrong or have got error, and even some of the main ones from reputable sources have got things in them that simply aren't correct. I'll show you an example for visiting hour if someone reminds me. So don't rely on notes that you find online because there might be errors, but also don't do it because just using somebody else's notes makes things too easy for you, and the problem is the info doesn't go in. Okay, the stuff doesn't stick if you're not doing the work yourself. There is something about the process of you taking a piece of literature, looking at a set of maybe like prompt questions, working your way through something, annotating it, adding your own thoughts, your own sort of interpretations of different techniques, all that kind of thing. That actual process is what makes all of that knowledge about different analytical techniques and different effects of language, that's what makes it all stick in your head. So then when you need to access it to, for example, write a critical essay under timed conditions, or write it for people in the communication class, write a really sophisticated, complex critical essay, which is going to be submitted as part of a formal assignment, having done your own notes is the thing that makes sure that you can really express yourself properly and convince the marker that you deserve the credit that you presumably think you deserve. But there are different ways to do notes. So use the right approach for different kinds of tasks. I would always recommend annotating a big copy of a poem that you're doing, but the way in which you do notes to prepare for different essay questions, for some people might involve doing a mind map if that suits them. Other people might prefer to just listing all their notes out. I've seen people doing their notes using like physical cards that they lay out on a table and then take a photograph of. The way that you do it's up to you, but you need to find a system that works for you that allows you to create your own materials. There is, however, a need to learn aspects of the text for those who are in National 5 and higher. So communication people doesn't apply to you, but those of you who are going to sit an exam, you need to know material because we don't let you take it into the exam with you. Unfairly, I would argue, but still. Poems, you learn them off by heart. They're not very long, it's not a big deal. Prose and drama, you can't do that, so again, the notes become vital. I will give you a notes template which will help you to select key bits of evidence that could be used for essays in the future and have them categorized within the sort of areas that they might come up, so different kind of themes and characters and stuff like that. So we will get to that. One wee trick for learning things is when you're writing out quotations, for example, if you're practicing essays, even if you've got the poem or the story in front of you because it's an early essay and I'm not making you do it kind of closed book, when you're actually doing the writing out of the quote, turn the paper over so you can't see it. So look at the line a couple of times, get it in your head, turn the paper over, write it out. Doing that and doing that from the start is just a little trick that I've found helps to get the stuff to go in and helps you to remember the lines quite clearly and quite accurately. Okay, so a few wee tips there. There'll be more coming, I'm sure, as we go through the year. And if you're struggling with things, let me know and I'll see what I can do to help you, either by making more videos like this or by helping you individually. So the full series you can go back and watch, obviously. It'll all be up on YouTube. And there are other series available on things like close reading, studying literature, Scottish set text, folio, different kinds of essays, stuff like that. Thanks.